Okay, hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. My name is Hannah Crapone. I'm the Content Marketing Manager here at Certiport. We're happy to have everyone joining us for our fourth Certified Academy webinar of 2025. We've opened up the chat already, so if you wanted to drop in, give a quick introduction into you and what you teach, please feel free to do that. Also tell us where you're from so that we can get some connections going and everyone can get some good chatting about the students that you work with and what you're hoping to learn from our session here today. This session is being recorded, so everyone who is registered will receive a link to the recording after our presentation has finished up. If you have any questions as we go throughout our discussion, please feel free to drop those into either the Q&A or the chat feature. We'll be monitoring both of those and we can address those questions with our panelists as we go throughout our discussion today. Today's session is being sponsored by the Intuit Certification Program. You can differentiate your school's business, accounting, finance, and entrepreneurship programs with the Intuit QuickBooks Certified User Exam. Certifying your students validates their knowledge of Intuit QuickBooks and shows their proficiency in computing skills. And for those who are interested, we'll have links to this program in our follow-up email as well. And of course, today we are going to be talking about new ways to teach finance and accounting, and we'll be learning from some wonderful panelists. First is Ashley Faulkner. Ashley is a teacher at Triton High School in North Carolina, where she is a strong certification advocate. Over the past 11 years, Ashley has earned more than 40 certification and helps her students earn more than 1,150 individual certifications as well. She's also served as an FBLA advisor and as a North Carolina Southeast Region advisor. Outside her teaching career, Ashley is the Chief Financial Officer for Simple Web Solutions Incorporated, EM Audio, and Butler Faulkner Enterprise, and she is the mother of two very active children. Second, we have with us David Waite. David began his career as an auditor and was one of the rare humans who genuinely enjoyed it. After earning his CPA, he spent 15 years in public and private accounting before discovering his passion for teaching. An unexpected opportunity to teach accounting in Hawaii led him to academia, where he now focuses on bridging the gap between theory and practice. His teaching philosophy is simple: motivate students to prepare before class, engage actively during class, and tackle real-world challenges after class. Drawing from his industry experience, David strives to bring accounting to life for his students and future professionals. So I'm going to go ahead and stop share so we can see our lovely panelists. All right, wonderful. And before we dive in, I'll give you guys just a chance to introduce yourselves as well. So David, we'll go ahead and start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and the students that you work with.
As I already said, I started in the audit side and then got a one-year opportunity at BYU Hawaii, and within weeks really knew that I never wanted to leave the teaching profession. And that wasn't just because of the beaches. It was being in a classroom and talking about accounting and being a part. There I got to teach audit. I got to teach international accounting, something I'd never done before, the principles of accounting, and just enjoy the interaction. And there is really where I got an insight into how certificates were looked at. And when you look at international students, certificates is such a big deal. And I think the US is following up and doing a better job of that. But internationally, we really tried hard to get them certificates because it was a big deal in Tonga and Samoa and Fiji and those spots. Finally, opportunity came to come back to the mainland, where I'm teaching now at UVU and have been teaching primarily the intro accounting, but this semester is the first semester, just ending tomorrow. We will end our first semester of a bookkeeping and QuickBooks class with the purpose of teaching our introductory students, those first 2-year students, to actually get jobs in bookkeeping. So it's been wonderful. I think it's a great career in teaching and accounting. I love accounting, so.
Love it. Well, we're glad you're bringing the passion today, David. Thank you so much for being here with us. Ashley, let's give you a chance to introduce yourself as well. And I know we're going to have some real life students there in the background, so feel free to just talk over if need be.
All right, so I teach high school. I got into accounting as a business major. I remember, sorry, God Bell, the end of the first lunch, actually second lunch. But my accounting professor just made it so much fun. I really thoroughly enjoyed accounting. I remember he was so pleased that I had a binder for accounting, its own separate binder, that he begged me to switch my major from business administration and law to accounting. Unfortunately, I did not. I continued on, started some businesses straight out of college with my husband. And for the last 20 years, I have been the chief financial officer slash bookkeeper of those small companies. So I like to put it into practice. And then when I moved from teaching at one school to another school, they had an opening for an accounting teacher. So I'm like, sure, I remember accounting from college. Do it all the time. How hard could it be? And I thoroughly, really, really, really do enjoy accounting. It is fun. There's not many classes there's not a lot of gray area. Just it is. It is what it is. And so long as you follow those rules, it works. So keep it equal.
Love it.
I like that. I like that.
Okay, well, we're here today to talk all things finance and accounting education. And I wanted to, before we dive in, just to give a quick statistic. Now, according to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, over 715,000 job openings are predicted in business and finance between now and 2031. So it's fairly significant growth and job opportunities. Now, are you seeing students interested in these fields, and are we seeing more companies looking for professionals in these areas in conjunction with this type of growth? Ashley, will come to you first.
Well, I have found that my class sizes are shrinking, unfortunately. However, the number of students who are going on to college to major in accounting has increased in each of those classes, though. So I'll take that. It means the ones that are sitting in my class really want to be, in there. They're not just placed because guidance said, here, have some kids.
Mm.
But partnering with local businesses and the community education partnership and local stakeholders is the best way to find out exactly what they're looking for. Every company has to have somebody watching the numbers and somebody watching the money. So it's not going away.
Still opportunities, right? Yeah. David, what are your thoughts?
And it's true when that's what we love about accounting, whether you're making money or losing money, someone's got to be there to track it. But there's no question that over the last 5-7 years, we've seen a pipeline problem. People leaving school into university in the accounting side, and there's a lot of reasons maybe for that, and there's a lot of news out there about whether that's the 150-hour rule related to the CPA, whether it's the pay at the different firms or companies. But I think overall what we're trying to do is at the high school level do a better job, and this is what Ashley's already doing, is at a university we're trying to get more involved at the high school level and provide concurrent enrollment. And then at the university level, try to do a better job of being excited when we talk about accounting to be able to pull them in. But overall, like right now, you go a year ago and we had students in fall of 24 getting offers for fall of 26, signing offers 2 years out for public accounting. Now that's begun to shrink off, where now it's only a year out, year and a half out, but there's no question we have a problem. AICPA, according to news, AICPA is going to lose over 50%, and sometimes people will say that numbers into the 70%, will lose that many of their members in the next 5 to 10 years. And so it is a struggle to get accountants in. Again, pay and most of us, and I'm guessing in most of your states, we're seeing a lot of talk about the MAC now not being required to become the CPA. In the state of Utah, where I am, that's been removed. So starting fall of 26, which is going to scramble us at the MAC level and what we're teaching at the undergraduate level. So there's no question there's been a problem. There is a problem. And I'm grateful for a group of teachers like this, all willing to jump in and try to solve it, because I think it's such a great profession. Such a great profession. So.
Well, thinking about this, and so we have the pipeline problem. There's a lot of moving parts to what's going on in accounting and finance jobs. And I wanted to think, if we're talking about preparing individuals for this type of career, for these students that are in the classroom, how do we get them ready? What are the skills that companies are looking for in these future professionals, whether they're signing, early, or whether we're seeing kind of a lag in the interest as well? David, what are your thoughts?
We meet each semester. At the beginning of each semester, we'll pull our advisory board together, which is made up of about 20 different public accounting firms. So a master from big 4 to small. And then we have companies, we have government, we have tax, all those pieces. And it's interesting when we get in those rooms as an old practitioner, meaning I want them to say they need more basic accounting, right? And there's no question that comes up. they always say we need more Excel. We need to do better on Excel. Even with all the AI happening, we need more Excel. But it's interesting, the two things that they continually push on is number one, soft skill. We've got to do a better job in the accounting world teaching them soft skill, which is a teacher. I don't know if I really like, right? Because what I want to do is teach debits and credits and how everything balances out. But somehow I've got to pull back and still say, how do you interview a client? How do you write better? And the second part that I bring up that continues to be something is how do you get a student to be able to walk in and work for 8 hours without asking for a 15-minute break to check whatever it is they're going to check? I mean, I age myself by saying something like Facebook, right? But that is not the time. And so how do you create a classroom experience to where they can come in and you can say, because I don't think I can't necessarily say you can't use your phone, but how do I create an experience that says, hey, put your phones away, put your computers away. Here's a worksheet. Now we're going to talk about an hour and 15 minutes of just focusing on work, nothing else, and then break them into groups so they have to talk, have to write, those things. So I think, again, it still comes down, and I think it's hard for us as accountants because we like the technical, we like the debits and credits, but it is the soft skill. It's teaching them how to learn that piece that I think is so important.
Yeah, the balance and focus. I think that's one thing across the board, whether we're talking about accounting or any other, teaching classroom experience. Almost every teacher that I've talked to says it's just so hard to get students to focus for an extended period of time. I think there's so much with this generation and with any of us, right? This sense of instant gratification. So this constant need to be checking other things. So I totally agree that component of soft skills is so important. Ashley, I'm seeing you nodding and smiling along. Do you have any thoughts to add to that as well?
I 100% agree. As I look around, I can hear the clicking to know that they are actually, some of them are playing games right now, because they just cannot stay focused. But it's paying attention to details. It is vital in accounting. They have to be able to pay attention to details, and they have to be able to focus on those ethical behaviors, and understanding that honesty is very valuable. Integrity, just knowing all those ethical behaviors, and exhibiting those ethical behaviors, understanding that there are long-term repercussions to your actions if you choose to be unethical in a situation, and having those communication skills. A lot of students struggle. They'll say, I don't understand. Okay, specifically, what don't you understand? Like, do you understand that, the beginning part of it is just the middle part? You don't quite know exactly what you're supposed to debit, what you're supposed to credit. You don't understand how the number came about. What specifically do you not understand? And so enforcing your students to be more detailed in their explanations to you, will help with those things as well.
I like
Hannah,
that detail oriented. Yeah, David, go ahead.
No, when she talked about specifically the detail part, this is one of the parts that a few colleagues and I have really tried to figure out how to do, which is in assignments, we're so particular, right? When we think about, for example, depreciation, we just say, this is how much you bought it for, this is the useful life, this is the salvage value, now calculate. But one of the things we're trying to do a little better is in assignments, giving more detail. And when I say that, it's more rough idea and more specifics. Let them try to come to a conclusion, but also have specifics in how they deliver things to us. Because we want so bad for them just to succeed. We want them to learn this topic we love. And so we give in too much. And I don't mean that as necessarily a bad thing, right? We're there to help and to bring hope and to teach this topic. But I do wonder, this is one of the things that I'm working on over the summer for fall classes, is trying to provide more detail in assignments that require more of them. And then if they don't do it, knock them down on it, actually grade them down with the hopes that they will get better at looking at detail. Don't just look and move and then email me saying, I don't get it, but rather push them back to the assignment saying, hey, guess what a client's going to do? Guess what your boss is going to do? They're not going to hold your hand through this. They're just going to say, good luck, and walk away. And let us at least help them a little bit through that process. I think it's one way that I'm going to try to work on making my class better.
I like that. And I think those human skills, right? The ability to focus on details and to adjust and be creative, those are all some of those things that, regardless of what career path they end up pursuing, are things that are skills needed in the workforce. And it brings to light something that, of course, is a very hot topic of conversation at the moment, is the ability to have those human soft skills when the world of AI is just blowing up, right? AI is taking over so many different um, not necessarily job roles, I think, at this point, but a lot of different functionality within different career paths are being interrupted by AI. So in accounting and finance specifically, how do we see AI impacting the work that professionals are doing today? And how do we help prepare students for that disruption? David, your thoughts?
This is a world of constant question. I can't tell you how many students walk in and say, I love accounting, but is it even going to be a career 5 years
Mm-hmm.
from now and 10 years from
Mm-hmm.
now? And my response, and many responses, is of course, yes. And nobody really knows what that is, right? I listen and listen to a lot of podcasts and read things, and sure, we have a lot of ideas. We know AI is coming. And when you look at the basics of accounting, and if we draw a line that says finance looks forward and accounting looks back, of course, AI is going to take a lot of that grabbing of
Mm-hmm.
information.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still a believer that like, for example, in class, we go through a QuickBooks assignment where we say, hey, this is what QuickBooks is doing for you. Watch what AI does. For example, categorizes all your expenses. And it does
Mm-hmm.
all the categorization. You check a box, you hit add, and it's done. But I still think we have a responsibility to say, now pull back and look underneath and tell me what's going on. What's happening behind the scenes? Because I think our job is going to still be analyzing. AI does a great job of that. But how do we
Mm-hmm.
communicate it to a client? How do we help them see? How do we help them make those decisions? And I think from an AI side, at least in the next couple of years, what our goal is as we look at the classes is teach them how to use AI, show them how cool it is, and then for the next week, pull back the curtains and say, now let's make sure you understand everything that happened. So now, if you have to explain it to a client, you really can't explain what's happening underneath, but be a part of it. Like we really are saying, bring it on. We love it.
Mm-hmm.
I, for the first time in my life, I've become a good writer thanks to ChatGPT. So I think it's wonderful. So
That's wonderful. And I'm seeing some echoing of this type of sentiment in the chat, just the concept of it's being adopted in industry, right? So it's focusing more on the lower level work, that categorization, as you mentioned, a lot of the bookkeeping components, but then the analysis, right? Being able to explain what's going on, why those decisions were made by AI. That is crucial, right? You can't go to a client and say, here you go, and then not be able to explain what you're presenting to them. So I think that's fabulous. Ashley, any thoughts to add?
I do. Having used AI in some popular software that I will not name, having switched from desktop version to online, again, not saying any names of what it is, it really has saved me a lot of time in automating my invoices that are repetitive every single month.
Mm-hmm.
But I have found that I can't completely I don't, it's not completely hands off
Yeah.
because sometimes the software this is an actual example, I swear. For the last 6 months, it couldn't email this customer because the email was wrong. But then I went to go check at the beginning of this month, and it all of a sudden went same email address, nothing changed. Or it went the last couple of months, but it didn't go this month because all of a sudden the email is wrong. I'm like, no, it's fine. So I still have to download, and I'm still invoicing my
Mm-hmm.
customers, and I'm still making sure. And even though, yes, it does classify those transactions, doesn't always classify them the same, even though it should, or correctly every time. So you still have to make sure that you're going back and verifying every transaction. Yes, that is in fact that one. That is that one. That is that one. Nope, that's not that one. Let me fix that one real quick. So you still, it's not a hands-off approach
Yeah.
with AI helping.
Yeah. I think that's true across the board. It's such a nascent technology, right? There's so much that's going to be changing, I think, over the next several years. But being able to maintain that human touch, because ultimately, right, we're supposed to be the experts who are telling AI what we want it to do. So you need to be able to give it that structure. And thinking about the structure, of around AI, but then also the other soft skills that we talked about. I wanted to give our attendees here some kind of ideas for going forward. How can we teach these skills in the classroom? So what are some of the projects that you use? How do you teach difficult topics? So Ashley, we'll come to you first. What have you found most successful in your accounting curriculum for teaching your students?
I remind them every day that the numbers are money. And just like when you go and you pay, whatever your bill was, you pay, you expect your change to be correct. So do they. We do not play with money. We do not assume that we can just do the math correctly in our heads, even though we should be able to. We're going to use a calculator. We are going to be exact to the penny. It matters. Um, and then I just, the projects that I use, I don't really have any projects because I've had a hard time finding time to fit it in.
Mhm.
Historically, I've had a state final exam that I've had to prepare for, so I didn't have time for a lot of projects. I needed to get all of my content in there, make sure they understood that. But one of the topics, like David mentioned, is depreciation. They have a hard time understanding that. They understand that, all right, I bought the car, or I bought the truck, or I bought the building, but it's not worth the same value. What do you mean it's not worth the same value? Okay, well, when you bought your cell phone, how much did you pay for it? Can you sell it for that exact amount right now? Who's
Mhm.
going to pay for a used phone that same amount? They're not. It's depreciated or lost value. So trying to make it more relatable to them,
Yeah.
because my high school students, well, they can't fathom actually buying a car or buying a building or having a mortgage or taking out a loan because, well, they're not there.
Yeah.
So that's what I
So
do.
putting it within the context, right, of what they can understand, the real world experience that they have, bringing that kind of to the table. I really like that. David, anything to echo from you?
This is, we really took an approach of the certificates for us are the scaffolding for what we're trying to
Mm,
do. So for us, even though, and initially I confess that because of the way I teach my intro accounting class, exams are pretty heavy on the grading side, meaning the
mhm,
percentage of how much it takes to the total grade. But I really realized pretty fast, and this was from professionals, chatting with professionals, the certificates couldn't be anything more than the scaffolding, that this was not really more than 10-15% of their grade because they will be motivated to get them. But on top of that had to be the other stuff. At least this is from my side how we saw
mm,
it. So we knew that practice had to be there. And so what we did, and I say we because I've worked with Dan Luthi, Brittany Brown, two professionals, bookkeeping owners in the area that have helped me kind of build out this new bookkeeping class that we've started. So we build the game of Urban Edge. And this really is a 4-month, it's a 4-month case study, but it's a 4-month case study of bills and invoices and bank recs and bank statements. We didn't want just a book necessarily to say, hey, here's an invoice or here's a bill or
mhm,
here's how much in the bank account. We wanted actual papers. And in this case, and I say that, and I have like right, I lean like we really created a book
wow.
with all the invoices. Like it really was everything there that we created so students could see a bill, could see an invoice, could see a
Mhm,
bank statement, because we felt like you're studying the certificate out of class. Now come to class and let us show you what real world bookkeeping is. Help us walk you through what's going on. The other side of this, and I'm jumping over, I'm actually seeing in the chat, Catherine is
mm,
saying Arm and Dalton, and I think they have great practice sets. It reminds us all of college when we had to do that practice set on intro, or I guess intermediate accounting. But then the other piece of it, so we have this practice set that we have that we use to build. And then the other piece that we've added is something we're calling a mastery minute, which never takes a minute, by the way. But as bookkeepers, we know that we are required, as accountants, we're required to know more than just accounting. We
mhm,
have to know what a 1099 is and the difference between an independent contractor and an employee. We have to know how to deal with insurance or how to deal with a legal bill or whatever it is. So each day in class, we just have a pop up where we have a video or something of someone popping in and saying, hey, and we pause the class and say, here's a situation, please respond to it. And we give them 5 minutes to research and then teach their fellow students what the answer is. And sometimes it's a paper, sometimes it's verbal. But so I say that because, again, I don't think the certificates by themselves are enough to walk out to an employer and
Mhm.
say, I know what I'm doing. Any more than as a CPA, I can walk out and say, hey, I'm a CPA. And they say, can you do taxes? And I say, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm an auditor, not a tax accountant, right? And so, same thing. I want them to have the certificates because I think it's good for a resume and you can get in the door. But after that,
Mhm.
we have to build a skill set, or that's what I want, is a skill set that my student can walk in and say, I have this certificate and I've done it 5 or 6 times in class.
Yeah.
So I know how to
Yeah.
practice it.
Yeah. Well, thinking about that, I wanted to talk a little bit more about the certification. We've talked about using it as kind of a scaffolding to build your kind of course curriculum around. I wanted to discuss the student response when you introduce certifications. Are they excited, hesitant? What are kind of the general reactions for certifications? Ashley, we'll come to you first.
So, in working with North Carolina Department of Public Instruction, I recently assisted with one other person to rewrite the Accounting 1 curriculum to get rid of the state final exam because, yay, they can answer 100 questions multiple choice, but nobody does that in the real world. So, what does it matter? To make it the Intuit bookkeeping certification as the proof of learning, that is the final exam for that class. And so they know when they come in that, all right, that's my end goal. I have got to get this certification. And so they get excited, but then I also, because my students are in high school, I let them know that, hey, did you know you can get free college credit and it's worth 3 college credit hours, which is a whole class you don't have to take. That's at least $1,000 that, gets to stay in your pocket, which not really, but whatever, but it's definitely 1,000 you don't have to get a loan for, it's and so with that one, you don't have to go take a college class. It's already, you got it, and you just took a test. So that helps them get more excited. And then I remind them, I pull up the website and I show them about how much money people with that certification can potentially earn in various different locations. And so that helps tie them in and get them a little bit more excited.
It's all about the money, yeah? I
It
mean, if
is
we're at
all
the end of
about
the
the
day,
money.
that's what
Ring
this is
ding,
all
show me the
about,
money.
right?
Oh yeah. And
I love
accounting
that.
too is QuickBooks. So
Yeah,
No question.
love it. David, any additional thoughts from you? Your student response at the collegiate level, how are they reacting to certifications?
This is something we almost have to, we do have to educate them on, because often they come in not knowing that a certificate by itself has a benefit. They think of it after college and they think, yes, I can go to college, go become a CPA, CMA, CFE, CIA, whatever it is, and that gives credibility to what they're doing. But in college, I think there's a twofold benefit. Number one, when we said, hey, come in, we're going to help you get the Intuit bookkeeping and QBO level 1 certifications. Their answer is, I think in their head, oh, it's just 2 exams I'm studying for, and it's part of my grade, and who cares? But that's when I bring in 2 professionals that are running firms and saying, now as a 2-person panel, tell the students what it means to you to have these 2 certifications. Now, don't get me wrong. Their answer is similar to what I already gave. I can't lie and say that I'm not talking out my ears sometime and saying, yes, they're saying it's essential, but the skill is better. But it still brings something. And so as they learn and as they go through the class, and as now that they did the QBO during the semester, their final exam, which was due yesterday. I have some emails today saying that they've not done it, so we'll see how that goes, right? But they're finishing both of these certifications, and one of the requirements is that they post it on their LinkedIn page, because I want them to be excited about it. And what we're seeing is me and the professionals that I'm working with that are following these students, that we're liking it, and we're trying to make a big deal of, hey, you have this certification, to bring some confidence so they'll walk out and say, hey, I know how to do this. Now, all of us in this room know that just because we have a certificate doesn't mean we know how to do something, but it brings a confidence for them to walk in and say, I know how to do it, which means they'll figure out a way to do it, which is what we all do anyway in accounting. So I think it's great.
Yeah. I've done it before, right? There's at least a little bit of context around what they're hoping to accomplish. And you've
Yes.
both talked about something that I kind of want to revert back to. You've talked about advisory boards and connecting with local professionals and business owners. I think that that is such a great way to offer validation for what you're teaching in the classroom, but then also hopefully to connect them to relevant networks where they can explore job opportunities and internship opportunities. So how have you established those connections and how do you leverage them in your classroom? David, we'll come to you first.
I think I'm going to go twofold on this. I think
Sure.
first from a personal side, I try to attend conferences that will just help me make sure that I'm connecting specific to how I teach. I go to something like the Certiport, what we're going to be doing in a few weeks on to be able to go to this conference. I go to a tactic conference. I'll go to the AAA conferences to where I'm trying to be a better teacher, just the skill set of teaching. And then the other side is I'm leaning on the Perkins Grant. I hope everybody in their own states are doing that. Is I'm leaning on the Perkins Grant to go to things like Intuit Connect and to the AICPA Engage and to the Woodard or the Scaling New Heights conference, to where I'm dealing only with professionals to figure out, hey, in a very specific way, what skill am I looking for? And that's just from a personal side to be able to figure out how I can be a better teacher. But from a school side and a class side, we really try hard to bring in a board of advisors for UVU's accounting program. And then I have one specific just to the bookkeeping, where I've created my own little board just for the bookkeeping class because it is a little different. And it is pulling in those individuals, trying to get different voices in that place and getting that feedback of saying, like, one of my favorite stories still is with Brittany Brown, who runs Ledger Gurus. I came up with, I thought, this great idea of how I should run the class and what the class should do. And I brought it to her and I said, Brittany, and I worked hard on doing this. Like, I came in, I was prepared, I had a handout, I had a presentation, and she just chuckled and in effect said, nice try, no. Nobody cares about that. Nobody wants that. Like, if they're going to come and work for me, they need to do something different. But from my end, that's exactly what I wanted. She flipped it and it became a new course because of it. And this is my final thing that we've not done yet, but we're going to try to do this next semester, is a virtual bringing students to meet the employers, because we do a great job at meet the firms, meaning we have all the firms come in, but we don't do a great job on companies or bookkeeping firms and allowing that whole CAS, right, that new profession of client advisory, client accounting services, to get them connected to our students. And so hopefully a year from now, I'll have something more to say about that, on how we're connecting our student to that other side of the profession.
But I like the twofold answer. I think that that's very important, that it's not just about connecting your students to job opportunities, but also connecting with industry so that you know how to adjust your own class and your own curriculum as well, and how you can be a better educator. I think that that's fabulous. Ashley, any additional thoughts from you?
I want to be David when I grow up. Okay, well, I don't have all those resources. At least I'm not aware that I have those resources. But what resources I do have is I have reached out to the local university, and I have got literally, I have a sticky note with an email address on my desk right now of an accounting student who is majoring at the university. Who's like, hey, let me know the next time you teach. I'll come in, we'll talk about, what our work looks like, what the prospects, how to get into college for it, and all the good stuff about that kind of stuff. I use software like Major Clarity to show videos of those professionals who are in the accounting profession. We're supposed to use Major Clarity. It's a big thing over here in North Carolina. So I'm pushing it. But it lets them experience, at least to be able to see what experiences those people have had in the job, what level of education they needed, why they chose the field. One chose the field because the teacher that taught accounting, the guy, his son, she had a crush on, so wanted to end with dad. So, we didn't get to hear whether or not it worked out or not in the video, unfortunately. But why they like doing the field, why they like doing it, what their day-to-day looks like. Do they actually have to work 9 to 5? Is it boring? Is it just staring at computers and numbers all day? Because no, it's not. So that's what I do. But again, I want to be David.
The resources too, I think makes a huge difference. And I wanted to talk a little bit about, you mentioned, Ashley, specifically a student who has said, you know what, I would love to come back and talk to your class. Have you had students use their skills and certifications to land relevant jobs, or what does that look like for their trajectory after high school?
All right, so over Christmas break, this last Christmas break, I had a student who just graduated last May. He called me and was like, "Hey, like, are you in trouble? Are you okay?" Because he was like, "I just want to let you know that I landed in a job. I'm majoring in accounting. That's one of those that, you know, he loved what he was doing. Um, and my job is pretty much just I don't know what was happening before I got here, but it needed to be cleaned up. We got to get it ready for tax season. And I'm using it because he only had one semester of college accounting. He had my accounting one and my accounting two class in high school. And he was like, I just want you to know I'm using everything that you taught. Thank you for getting me QuickBooks certified. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love it. And this is not hard. And I'm like, well, you're welcome.
That's the kind of call we love to get, right? You start thinking that they're in trouble, but then by the end they're telling you, "Thank you so much for teaching you everything that you did because look at how that's turned out for him." David, any thoughts from you on students using their skills and their certifications in industry?
Do you know, and there are really two primary reasons that I wanted to develop this class. And I think from a university side, I think most of you will know that we push up against a roadblock into PhDs. And this is no offense to our PhDs because I think they're wonderful, but it is that they don't see bookkeeping as an end result of a graduate or an undergraduate degree. But my purpose was, number one, I really do believe the better you understand this world of bookkeeping and accounting and the process side, the better students you will be as you move through intermediate accounting, audit, tax, all of those classes. Your mind's different because you see it as a business, not just as a debit and credit. So number one, I wanted to create this so students could learn different. And part of it was an embarrassment that I didn't know how to do bookkeeping when I graduated from college, and I had friends asking me to, right? So that's the second piece is, as we've taught that, we're trying to be careful of saying, hey, you can't just go out and really become a bookkeeper for everybody. At the same breath, though, you can. And so as the semester's going on, and then we're ending the semester, we have students, and I guess as long as I don't say last names, I have a Maria who, right, she comes up after class and says, hey, I'm taking this class. My dad said, I do QuickBooks for my company. I mean, he has his own company. Why don't you just do it for me? And she says, well, I can do that. So she brings the books to class and we help her through those struggle parts. But by the end of the semester, she's doing it. And one of her dad's friends has now hired her to do his books as well. You have an Ethan who has set up an LLC. This is one of those things. He has an offer with one of the big four 2 years out, fall of 26, 27, January of 27 when he has. So he has a year and a half still of college that he's having to work. So he started the business and he's picked up now 5 different clients. And again, we're not talking about high-end clients, but we're talking about $250, $350 a month that he's doing. But now he's moving from making $15, $18 an hour to making $25 and $30 an hour. And he's building a skill set that he can lean on the rest of his life. And it'll help him be a better auditor, but it also helps him go through college. So my purpose was twofold, right? Help them expand their mind because I think bookkeeping helps that, but two, go out and get a job. And I feel like it's helping them do that again because of the confidence they're getting from the process of going through the class. At least that's my hope.
I love that. And I think understanding the mechanics and being able to, it's not just the end result, right? We're not just trying to get people jobs at the end, but I like the idea of getting them prepared kind of along the way and having it be a multi-step level approach and being able to see students succeed at whatever tier that they're currently at, I think is so rewarding. And we actually Ashley had a question dropped into the chat thinking about the high school level accounting classes. Are each of your high school classes a year long or is it a semester long course that you're structuring?
My classes are semester long. That's
Okay.
what we do.
And you're testing at the end of each semester, or is that how you're
Mhm.
structuring it? Okay, great.
Yep.
And if
And so
there's any
typically, I've had to
follow-up
get the
questions to that, feel
I've
free
had to get
to
this
engage here in the chat.
sorry. I've had to get the credential in there as well as preparing for the state final exams as
Mm,
well.
lots of preparation. Yeah, lots that you're trying to Trying to pack in,
And I
which
don't
I
give
think
homework, so it's a
so
lot to get into class.
makes that class time super busy, super busy.
Yes.
Well, I think this has been such a valuable discussion, and I'm loving seeing so many people engaging in the chat. There's so much activity going on. If you have any additional questions, feel free to drop those into the Q&A. Oh, the same person. I struggle to have time to cover all of the content at the college level. Can't imagine how to add QuickBooks or some other certification. So thinking about that, Patrice, thank you for that comment. Any thoughts about how you can, with everything that you have to cover in a semester-long course, how are you fitting in certification as part of that? Ashley, we'll come to you first, and then David, your thoughts as well.
I do G-metrics.
Okay.
And I do G-metrics throughout the entire time. So as I'm teaching them about assets, I'm testing them in G-metrics on assets. So they're getting to simulate what the certification looks like through the G-metrics testing platform. And then after I have finished teaching the entire course, then I give them Learn Key and say, all right, do it again. Go through the videos, take the pre-test, the labs, and the post-test. And once you finish all that and you've gotten your perfect scores, because that's what I require them to all get on their, perfect scores, now we'll take the certification exam. Oh, and speaking of which, my accounting 2 students, I had 100% pass the QuickBooks certification, which that's what I was shooting for. That was their goal. And because I didn't do the bookkeeping one with them, I was like, all right, now that you're doing this one, hey, just when you got time, throw in this G-metrics and this Learn Key too, and see if you can figure that out. And I got 75% on the bookkeeping one for my accounting 2 students. So I was excited.
Oh, amazing. Look at that. That's incredible. David, any additional thoughts from you about how you fit with everything that you have to cover certification as a part of the class structure?
For me, the way that we did it is the 2 certifications, both the QBO level 1, and this is again just through the Intuit Pro Advisor Academy that I went, but right, that one and the bookkeeping really was their out of class homework. That's primarily what I had them do out of class. In class, I require attendance, at least in this one, which was a little unique, but we do really most of the bookkeeping or the case study and the mastery minute piece in class, and then out of class is where they're doing the certificates. And I apologize, one last thing. One thing that I need to note that's probably pretty important in this is I do require the first 2 accounting classes as prerequisites to this class, which is very beneficial, right? We get a lot of questions across campus. Hey, there's a lot of people that want to take this bookkeeping course, but our response is, hey, well, and we'll work on that. We're going to try to figure out how to do a course just for those that are non-accounting majors, because you don't have to know accounting to do QBO, right? That's not required. But for us, if we're going to send a group of students out to get jobs, they have to know accounting as well. So that's also very helpful, is they have to do both financial managerial before they walk into my class, or they can do managerial at the same time they're in my class. So I have a lot of knowledge I can already lean on, which is very helpful.
Okay, perfect. And kind of a follow-up question to this, are we referencing the QuickBooks certification or the bookkeeping certification, just so that we can clarify which one you're offering to your students, David and then Ashley, both?
I do both. I do
Okay,
both the Pro
amazing.
Advisor Intuit Academy. I do the QBO level 1 and the bookkeeping.
Perfect. Ashley, are you doing both as well?
I am, but my level 1 is bookkeeping and my level 2 is QBO.
Okay, so
Now that they've
structuring it a
learned
little
all the
bit differently.
accounting, now let's figure out how it plays out in the real world through QuickBooks.
Okay, perfect. I love that. All right, so if you have any other questions, please feel free to drop those into the chat. I just wanted to circle back around and say, what's some final advice that you would share with your fellow finance and accounting educators? So Ashley will come to you, and then David will end with your thoughts.
Make it fun. For me, the students won't sign up for the class if you don't make it fun, and you don't want students that guidance just drops in there because they don't want to be in the class and they don't do the work, and well, that's a mess anyway, but we all know this. So I have there's a song, Debit Credit Theory. I'm sure we've all heard that song. I play it at the beginning, I play it daily, and then it becomes at least once a week until someone mentions, I haven't heard, hold on, I got you. Pull it up and it's playing again. And so And I have a colleague who was, oh, honey, just Google debit credit theory on YouTube. You got this. I promise. Debit credit theory. At the beginning of the class, they do not understand anything. But at the end, I'll play it again and I'll pause it. I'm like, you know what that is? You know what that is? You know exactly what that is now, right? And they're like, oh yeah, now I know what it all means. I'm like, I know. At the beginning, you're just like debit on the left, credit on the right. Okay, so what? What does that mean? But I'm like, seriously, the whole thing, you know what this is. Um, so just try to find ways to make it fun. I've had students or I've had other teachers tell me about integrating Monopoly, just not no money, just keeping track in Excel. You debited cash, so how much did you paid it out, so you credited cash. Keep it in a log of all your expenses, because that daggone luxury tax, it got you again, didn't it? So that just finding ways to make it fun when you can. But you can always throw in that debit credit theory song just in the background as they're working.
It's in the chat now, I think. Someone dropped a link to it to YouTube, which is fabulous. So we'll have to check that one out afterwards. Thanks, Ashley. David, any additional thoughts that you wanted to add as well?
I really like that song as well. I think it's great. One advantage I think we have, at least at the college level, is that I really can lean on other teachers as well. So because I come from practice, I really am biased to the practice side. So my proposal still is, and even though when I have a discussion with a Kevin or a Sheldon, who are my two PhD friends that push me on this, I do think their job as a PhD is to research and break through how to see new ideas and teach students how to think. And it's not that I don't feel like I have that same responsibility, but my belief in a class and knowing that they're going to get these other classes, I believe my job as a practitioner that's now a teacher is teach them practical. Teach them how I really, when they walk into a job and I'm going to lunch or golf with one of those individuals, I don't want to be embarrassed. And I hope that's okay to say. I don't want to be embarrassed that they ask my student, have you ever seen a 10K? And my student says, no. Do you know how to do bookkeeping? I want them to say yes. Have you touched QBO? Have you touched those things? So from my side, my belief is find our passion, like find the passion that we have as a teacher. And for me, it really is just the love of the basics of accounting and the practicality of accounting and bring it into a classroom and help my students get what I want those employers to get. And from there, I really can lean, and I smile because I'm at my work now. I can lean on a Mason and a Jeff and a Kyle and right and Michelle because they'll teach them what they're passionate about, and what I bring is what I'm passionate about, which is skill set. I want them to walk out and be able to do something with what we're doing, and I get a job, do this stuff. So that's my go-to is find the passion and stick with it and bring it to class because students will feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the idea of creating that network as well, which is so great to be able to see so many people engaging here in the chat and that everyone's here to be able to learn a little bit more together. Because I think ultimately, at the end of the day, our own experience is exclusively our own experience, right? There's so much that we can learn from others and ways that we can help students. So being able to connect and network across the board makes our classroom so much better. So I really appreciate both of you offering up that expertise and sharing your thoughts with us here today. Before we close out, I just wanted to give us a couple minutes to do some quick announcements. First, and David mentioned this during our conversation today as well, is that Certified Academy is a build up to our annual Certified Educator Conference, where we'll have both Ashley and David there with us, taking place in Dallas, Texas, June 16th through the 18th this year. So if you're looking to enhance your experience or you thought, this is a great discussion, I would love to learn from more people like David and Ashley, this is a great opportunity to do that. So I'm just going to go ahead and drop this link into the chat so that you can learn a little bit more about what we'll be sharing at the conference here in 2025. The second announcement is that we'll be having another presentation next month about making your classroom more hands-on. So you can register for that session. We would love to have you join us. It will be, I think for most educators, for at the collegiate level, this might not be the case, but hopefully before everyone's kind of dismissing and going out for the summer holidays. But that'll be May 20th. So we hope that everyone will be able to join us for that as well. And as always, thank you everyone for spending part of your time with us. We know that you are very busy people. We appreciate you taking time out of your day to do some professional development, to learn a little bit more and to network. So we're grateful that all of you spent some time with us learning this afternoon. Thank you, David. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, everyone, for being here listening. We appreciate all of you, and we hope to see you again next month. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.